Greetings, dear friends. This is Sunday, 2 o'clock, and that means we continue our family discussions. I'd like to congratulate everyone with International Marriage or Family Day on 15th of May, and we have a great topic today. Is there life after wedding? And can it be called a life? I'd like to introduce participants of our discussion, beautiful young families, Anna and Vitaliy Poteriayev. Greetings, and Alina and Andriy Tereschenko. Greetings. Hello. Okay. How long have you been married, Anya and Vitaliy? 8 years. 8 years, right? Okay, so is there life after wedding? Can we call it a life? Yes. Are you happy about your marriage? Well, people lie about everything, so let's say there is life after wedding.
Our older boy is 7.5, and 2 months ago we had another son. His name is Orest, and the older son name is Nestor.
Alina and Andriy, how long have you been married? We are married almost 7 years. In a month we'll celebrate 7. And you had another baby, or a baby.
Yes, our son is Adam, and he is 6.5 months.
So you have been married about the same time, and you have babies. So, as we know, families see many challenges. Statistics of divorce in the first 2 years is very high. So you have passed through this crisis quite successfully, as I understand. So let's talk about period of adjustment. When young people try to fit together, they're different in character, in culture of their family. So we'd like to know about your situation. Anna, you were raised in orphanage. How many years?
I was brought up in the orphanage from 6 years. All my school years I spent there. Then I entered university, and basically I didn't have any family model or examples.
Vitaliy comes from large family. How many children do you have? 7 and 5 children. You're the oldest? Yes. So you were punished more than everybody else, right? You are responsible for everyone. That's true. Good. So I know when we talked before interview, I know, Vitaliy, that you have invited Anya to be married several times, and she was not sure a couple times. It's true, she is very demanding. She started to show her demands even before we got married. So, overall, we already had a date for wedding, but we did not have engagement. You expected him to propose in some special way, Anya?
I would like something romantic, something special, and as it seemed for me, for the first time, Vitaliy didn't try hard.
Tell us, how was that first time and how it didn't work?
The first time we were on European Square in Kiev, we were just walking, and he started from afar to get to this topic. And when I understood where he's leading to, I said, you know what, don't even show me the ring, hide it, prepare better, and have another try. So the next time he prepared better, and it worked.
Life gave me a lot of hints, but I did not understand. Yes, when we talked a couple days before the interview, I even wrote it down, this phrase. Vitaliy understood that Anya will wash the brain. Right? That was your thought. That's logical. We are analytical people. So, as I compared facts, I realized that truth. So, 7 years later, or 8, did your expectations were fulfilled? Well, the good story is, after we got married, she stopped washing my head, my brain. So there is hope, right? Yes. Most difficult time adjustment and fitting together, that was time before wedding, actually. After that, I would not say that we had to work that hard. Maybe just a couple % of the work before. So, talking about the way you have asked her hand. How was the second time? Second time was failure as well, but third time it worked. Maybe 3, maybe more. Second time was just, okay, I'll tell you what you want, but then third time was with ducks, lake, boat, romantics. And she said yes. There was a crying willow. She said yes. Then we spoke Russian, so it was da. So your marriage has changed you positively. Great. Anya, you said you didn't have a model of family as you were raised in an orphanage. However, in our previous discussion, you said that you had right model of a family. What does it mean? What's that correct model? Where do you find it?
My biological family, they couldn't become a good example for me. But in my school years, I started to get to know God. I started attending church. I love to read. That's why I've read many Christian books on family topics, because for me, family was a very important value. I dreamed to have a good family. So when I was 13, I started reading good quality Christian books on family topics. So with me, I had a very good, ideal, bookish family example.
Were you able to implement it in your real family?
We're not an ideal family. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here. But we're a happy family, we're a full family, we love each other, and this is the most important. And even books, the families are not ideals.
Even Bible describes families who failed, but then overcame their failures. Thank you for your story, Andriy and Alina. I remember when Alina told me this moment of adjustment and fitting together was connected to alarm clocks. What was that?
When we came from our wedding trip, honeymoon, Andrew's alarm clock was on in 5 minutes and he's ready. And she was so surprised to see me in bed, because for me it's like 5 alarm clocks at least. I turn them off, I snooze them, and I'm late. And he's like, all of a sudden, and she's already, get ready. And my first thought, like, how could we leave? How? And now, over 7 years, Andrew has 7 alarm clocks. I influenced him maybe in a negative way.
How did that happen? Why you gave up? Because I started working in Irpin. I started to be self-employed and I relaxed. So your schedule changed. Yes, the pace of life changed, schedule changed. And now, I think if I was up at 7 o'clock without problem, now it's at 8 and with problems. Thank you. One important topic for young couple in first years, relationship with parents. Did you have any problems, difficulties with your parents? And beginning with your experience, what would you say, how should parents relate to children, children to parents to avoid conflicts? Great question. Everybody asks it, and everyone will face this problem when they get married. And when they start relating to parents of the wife or of the husband. Before that, I'd like to point out Anya was raised in an orphanage, Vitaliy, in a large family. You both come from large families. Alina is responsible in family of musicians. She's a first child. She's piano player, always at the stage, right? Competitions, all those things. Andriy comes from a large family, but he's third, not the last. There were more children, but he was already cared for. Well, I'm happy because I have 2 older brothers, and that was an advantage. You had to survive? No. I have great brothers. They always helped and gave me advantage. I always knew that I have 2 older brothers who would always stand for me. would always defend. So actually, I was always brave. There are small dogs and there are big dogs. There is small dog that always keeps barking because they have someone larger to protect them. That was me. So going back to parents, situation with your parents, how did you overcome? Actually, we did not have such bright adjustment stories with parents because from the beginning I spoke to Alina's father and he explained things very correctly from the beginning. He was very wise. He said, first, you will have to live separately. You have a large, father has a large house, and I have given him many business ideas of how to use the house better, but he said, I want you to live separately. That's it. But he did not run away from us, or we from him, because he gave us idea. The basement of his house was unused. There is separate entrance. I invested my money and we made apartment in his house, but then we never had any conflicts with father or mother. I think because of wisdom of parents who can correctly adjust to their children. We see each other only when they want to see us or we want to see them. We are a separate family. We separated. That's Alina's parents. But how with your parents? You moved from your home to a different city. With my parents' situation was different. If my parents watch now, they would be surprised. The situation was different because I left the home to go to Kiev at the age of 18. I went to a Polytechnic University, lived in dormitory, but I spent weekends with my parents. So it happened that after 6 years of studying in school in Kiev, I was returning every weekend, and I had this habit, and I keep saying, Alina, it's weekend, we need to go to my parents. And that did not stress her much, but it did make her sad. We worked a lot after we got married, and we did not have much time together. And so weekends were spent not together, but with parents, and she did not like it much. After time, we started visiting them less, and now my parents are saying that Andriy, favorite son, is visiting us less, maybe forgot us. And that was even painful moment of separating from my parents. Although we lived...
Otherwise, they live 100 kilometers away from us, but this emotional connection was, and it's kind of broke.
Because weekend was the only time for you to be together, right?
We worked 6 days a week, and Sunday was the only day we had time. But after the service, we would go to visit our parents.
How did you feel? My parents called and they said, we want to see you more often. And I understand them. They were loving us and tried to see us more. But on the other hand, they might not understand that we want to spend more time together, just two of us. How often do you call your parents? Now? Maybe every day. I get in the car and I call my parents. I have this hands-free system in my car, and so I can do it easily. Anya, Vitaliy, tell us, please, what parents should and should not do when their children have created a new family. From your experience, or just overall, if you look at young families. From our experience, my mother-in-law is ideal because she's almost non-existent. In our life, we have quite good relationship. With my parents, the separation came surgically, I would say. First of all, it's surprising. It was not as painful, but at the same time, it was once for all. I think my parents have demonstrated wisdom quite strongly, despite the fact that I'm the first child and they spent most time with me. Well, if you count years, but they released me very fast, in one moment. And that's great, because I understand for mother and father, that was not easy. And for me, I had this story, I'll tell you. In first days of our life together, I was going back from work. We also lived in Irpin. We were renting an apartment with Anya. And I understood that I live in the wrong place. I walked to my parents' home, almost to the door, and then I realized, no, that's not my home anymore, and I would go to the right home. It took me some time. Anya, what would you like to say? If you observe this situation, young families, young married couples, what would you advise?
Vitaliy has already told that they were very wise parents, despite the fact that I call them mom and dad. For me, it's very valuable. But they teach us this right attitude to young families. They never, they very gently give us advice. They never say you must do that. When we make mistakes or we ignore their advice or something does not work, they do not say, we've told you before and it worked differently. So this way we are working through so wisely. They teach us so wisely. And for us, when we talk, and we talk about future, when we would let our sons go their separate ways, we would take an example from our parents. We want to be good grandparents, maybe grandparents, grandma and grandpa. And these moments are very valuable and precious to pass on other generations. But although we need to keep their rules to be independent. I want to add something for girls who are getting ready for a wedding. When we were doing the wedding ceremony, a pastor told us very wise things. You need to have everything of your own, even forks, spoons. It doesn't matter if you stay with your parents for the first time. You need to have your shelf in the fridge, and it all depends upon girls. I remember that I absorbed this idea so greatly, and I recommend to all girls who are getting ready for a wedding or just preparing for the marriage life. So have everything on your own.
That relates not just girls, but also boys. You need to have your own Hummer. Yes, you need to be fully independent to have less stress points. Thank you very much. So, our first introductory part, when we got to know each other, is complete, but in 3 seconds we'll come back in a moment. Thank you, friends, for watching us. I see about 200 people are watching us, 175 to be exact. Thank you for greetings and comments. We'll come back in 3 moments and have our next part. So we continue. The topic, the family topic, is there life after marriage, and can we call it life? We have 2 wonderful couples in our studio, Vitaliy and Anna Poteriayev and Tereschenko, Andriy and Alina. So, we got to know each other, and now we move to hot topics, conflicts. Is it true that people in families have conflicts, quarrels, debates? Do you have that in your life? There was one time a family club, and Alina was posting and invited people to participate, to join, and the topic was about stress and conflicts. And someone wrote, what kind of stress and conflicts can you have in Christian families? Do you have something wrong in your families? But it happens. I know that you had a conflict from what you told me. you had conflict and stress before you got married. So what was this misunderstanding?
It probably was 2 years or a year and a half before proposal, when Andriy and we had a close relationship, and we were going and we were planning to create a family. All of a sudden, I got an email, the screen of his email. He's writing to another girl.
There was time when I was young, and I just learned yesterday, someone wrote something about me, but I was interested to know who and what. And they sent it to Alina. There was nothing provocative, just some discussion. Hello, how are you? How was your day? Everything was very nice, but I was so irritated because she thought that I just landed from Mars and I never spoke to anybody before, and the first one who received my message was her. You have not talked about this before, about relations before. I did not tell her who I wrote notes to in grade 5 and had corresponded. And someone wrote this to her, and she was very stressed.
Yes, I was stressful because he hasn't talked to me. I thought it was at the same time he was dating me.
That's not good to play two fields at the same time, right? I didn't play two fields. I communicate only with Alina. But I thought that was it. After this message he received, I thought that...
Yes, I've told him, never call me again.
That was a monologue, not a conflict. It was a monologue, but I could not add anything. I understood. I could not reject the fact that there was such a correspondence. I tried to explain that it was not... Well, she is a very hot person. She explodes fastly, and it took me time to explain and let her release the steam first. Maybe it took a day or two. I think we spoke the same evening. So who wrote, who called first? It was me. Alina, how did the wall fall?
Well, he explained that it took a long time ago before he even met me, and I believed him, and I believe him until now.
Okay, great. Another conflict, that there was a bright conflict before a wedding, but then you had a conflict after you got married, related to joint ministry after the family club. Tell us, please.
Unfortunately, yes. For a long time, we didn't have any conflicts. We did not have time for that because probably we worked.
That's true. Very surprising situation. I laugh when I tell after the family club where we were leading together, when we were telling people how to be great couples, and we are riding back home in a car and we are quarreling. We are different, and we respond in a different way to different situations. In that situation, my understanding of the program was one, and I decided to change it on the go. Just before the beginning, Alina likes everything to be in order, and I changed everything, and I said that would be great. And I agree that it turned out terrible. So as we drive back, I told her that everyone came, and the ministry was great, and people liked it. But she said it was great. It was worst. 20 bad seconds in the beginning was spoiling the whole evening. So overall, the picture was nice, but we screamed, but then we restored our love. So how does it happen? You boil up. Everything is full of steam. You want to give 1,001 argument against the other person, and
I'm like a firework. If somebody went through Chapman course, it's a very good course. It's called How to Control Your Bad Emotions, Breaking Emotions. So for me, it's very important to say everything I think. And to Andrew is probably for the first time he retaliated to my words. So maybe that's the reason of the conflict arising. And at that very evening, I understood that we have different point of views on situations, but he's like, everything's going to end up well, and he would say everything went smoothly and perfect, so let's move on. But then I stop, I concentrate on some details, and I think over and over, how would that be if we did that and that? But that evening, I perfectly understood that we need to live together, we need to handle. We talked about that. I told him that it doesn't work for me when he says everything is going to be all right, and he told what he doesn't accept about me. We talked, we cried, prayed together, and we reconciled, restored our relationships.
It might be surprising, but that's my motto, and I always tell other people, and in that situation, you need to be the first one to apologize. And in that situation as well, Alina did go before me, but that's where you need to play first to apologize. I remember the words of Apostle Paul, go before each other in love.
Yes, the conflict was on fire. I told we cannot lead this ministry because we have conflicts.
That's why we prayed and repented, because we were not fully sincere, I think, in what we said. Okay, last question on this situation. Overall, even in conflict, who should go first? You say that we should go first and apologize, but who usually does it in your family? It doesn't mean someone is better or worse, but can you say who goes first? Usually Andriy, usually me.
For me, I need to take time to understand where is my fault.
I start from afar, and I try to slowly explain those things. Thank you for sharing your stories sincerely. You need to be bold and courageous to say, yes, this is where we were wrong, but now we make things better. Okay, you also had quarrels. No, never. No, what's that? Well, we are Christians, we never quarrel. Vitaliy said, we had quarrels before a wedding, but not after. Well, we had quarrels after wedding as well, but during those adjustments or quarrels, I don't
honestly know how Vitaliy could marry me because of all the conflicts before marriage, because I showed my character, my temper before our wedding, and Vitaliy had a pretty good picture of me.
Well, his expectation was that the brainwashing will continue.
But you see, he is saying himself that I have changed.
Vasyl, I need to tell everyone that marrying a person that you seem to know is like buying a cat in a bag. It's like gambling. I'm not a gambler, but this is the biggest gamble I have done. Marrying is a gambling? Yes, because you can destroy your life. Well, especially in conservative society as church, that happens? It does. So tell us this story, Anya. You were the leader, despite the conditions where you were raised. You, in the orphanage, you were moving forward. You were among the few who entered university. You were fighting for your life. You were working hard. You were A+ student. You were a strong leader, and Vitaliy is leader. And remember the story you shared about two roads, going one way or the other. And something changed in Vitaliy's understanding as a man. Tell us a story.
For me, yes, I have a very leading skills, and I'm very stubborn. And as Alina has said, I'm a person, also a firework person, and I have like my 5-minute time when emotions overwhelm me, and then I come down. And for me, it's very important to have my own criteria in my life partner. I wanted him to be authority for me. Because to create a family, start a family with a person who's not authority for you is like committing suicide. And the second point was important for me, that person would be a friend for me. And I remember during the time when we just seen each other, we didn't even date. We were walking here in Irpin near Pushkinsky Street, and we are standing on the crossroads where the traffic light, and I told him, let's go this road, let's take this road. And he said, no, we will take that road. And I said, no, I said we're going this way. And Vitalik was stood. He's taller than me, and in a quiet, firm tone, he said, I told you that we are going to take that road, and we are going to do that. And here I understood this is the person that would put me in the right place, and I could listen to him and see authority in him. By the way, our conflict also started at the same crossroads.
Don't use that crossroad or put a church there. See how much I paid Anya to say those things.
In reality, we have in our family some rules that are not written. We have specific situation, very simple, things around the house. And it can start my 5-minute irritation or
3 hours, actually.
No. It will be my fireworks. Firework will finish, then I put tea, then I will ask, will you drink tea with me? And he would say yes. So we do not make it very selfish point to each other. We don't have that we do not talk to each other. And with our older son, we teach him, when you are offended, this is your personal problem, and you feel bad, you get rotten. Because other people neither cold nor hot because of that. You take offense, you're offended, this is your problem. That's why we don't have in our family offenses. We do not take offenses. We do not make it a long-term conflict.
Also, I should say that our discussions are not conflicts, but harsh lobbying of our interests. In some countries, this pressing towards each other could be criminalized, but overall, we understand that we don't pour offense over each other. It's not personal, it's lobbying your interest. Before wedding, Vitaliy said, we were in different boats on the same lake, and we would fight for authority, just like that road you explained in Crossroads. But now you're in the same boat. You have your direction, you have joint thing. So if we quarrel or lobby our interests, our projects, that happens in one boat. Thank you, friends, for writing your comments. There are some questions, and I invite you to respond to those questions. Let's pause our topic for a moment. There are greetings from Poltava region, Horol, Rivne. Here is a question. Budgeting for two families. Who fills up the budget and who makes the priority of expenditures? Who'd like to start? We were both filling up our budget before Adam was born. Now I'm filling up the budget. We're spending the funds together until a certain time. We were both earning, Alina and I. We were spending in parallel. We would share what we would buy, but it was chaotic. But now, someone gave us a good advice that you should have one wallet. We started budgeting at smartphone. There is a simple app. We started recording our expenditures, who spends and how much money for what. And then from that moment, we started spending funds together.
At least it helped us to see who is spending where and how. We do not get money in envelopes. We get them on our credit cards. Maybe it would be a good advice for somebody to each account, you can start additional card, for example, for your husband, and your salary from one card you can transfer to the other card. We did not have this opportunity because Andriy had cash and I had on my card. I received my salary, so we would like by the end of the month, where are the money? So for the last 4 years, we have a mobile app where we write all our expenses, everything, traveling, coffee, even 10-15 hryvnias, our traveling expenses, and we see where our articles are taking more money and what taking less. For example, if we're going to on vacation and we decide how much money we are ready and willing to spend.
How is it with you? We are filling up the budget together with different intensity, of course, each. But for me, for the budget, I have very little understanding of budgeting. I put everything in one pile and I pull out money without recording. So my wife does the budgeting. She terrorizes of how much you spent today. You brought a lot of food, but how much did you spend? If I did not have receipts, that would be disaster, but it's hard for me to bring things together. When we started budgeting our expenditures, if you don't want to be very shy, don't budget yourself. Because we thought Poteriayev family spends so much money per month. But then we turned out to realize that our budget was twice unrealistic. It was 2 times more than we expected. So when you start controlling every expense, that's great. It's good when you have cashless income. Some people are separating their cash into different envelopes. In our family, my wife does it best. So all these things are delegated to her. But every evening she asks me, Vitaliy, where is the money? But you have one budget, of course. That's for me. Someone told that you have 2 budgets. That would be harsh. When husband separates his own savings and wife has her own savings without letting each other know. I think when it's within one family unit, everything has to be centralized. Anya, what tools do you use for budgeting? Just life hack that you would share.
Vitaliy probably has already said everything. Yes, we also have a cell phone ad. And I feel it. I'm in charge. So every night I ask Vitaliy how much money has he spent. But all the money that I earn, I bring to Vitaliy and say, look, this is what I've earned. And Vitaliy comes and he also says, look, this is what I've earned. We put them together and decide together what we're going to spend them on. Vitaliy is very generous. He allows me to spend on everything, 30 hryvnias, 50 kopecks. And I'm wise enough not to misuse these suggestions that he makes. So yes, the budget is for together, for our family. I work remotely. I'm as a graphic designer and copywriting. So that's why I'm not on a maternity leave. So I'm working right now. Can I add a couple of things to this topic? You also need to decide that if you both workers, that for a wife very important to have a freedom. It could be 100, 200 hryvnias that she would spend the way she sees.
How about husband? Can we allow him? Well, he's spending anyway. It has to be agreed upon, not just hiding from each other, and then it seems like it's double life, because it is double life in a way. When you hide things away from the family or hide something from your wife, why would you do that? Or from the husband?
We need that so that new stressful situations would not arise, because a wife bought something for 100 hryvnias and her husband is shocked, and there was a spontaneous spending.
I think you're very shy about amounts, but let's not go deep in those details. I remember a story from my life. Because from the beginning of our family life, we faced different issues. I think before the new year, I gave her money to go to market to buy some food. And then she brought, Christmas tree decorations. That was nice. And I think she brought a piece of bread as well. Thank you, friends, for writing your questions and commenting. We'll go back in a moment. Come back in a moment to discuss first tests in the family. Sickness, birth of child, intimate life, everything else. Thank you for staying with us. So, we continue this topic. Is there life after wedding, and can we call it life? We're talking to Anya and Vitaliy Poteriayev and Andriy and Alina Tereschenko. So, the testing. What were the biggest tests you experienced in your family life? I know one of those tests was related to Alina's sickness. Nobody expected, nobody knew. Please tell us how that happened. It so happened in our family that Alina gets sick and I stay healthy.
I just have life insurance, and that's why I can be sick as many times as I want to.
As soon as she gets sick, she goes to hospital. So that's the habit of our life. She had stomach problems. In student years, she spoiled her digestion. And one time at night, she was hurting on the inside. And I said, okay, let me make this tea, chamomile. I know the herbal set that I use to treat Alina. Advil, chamomile tea. So she took it, and we went to sleep. In the morning, kept hurting. So we called Mama. What was happening? And Mama said, go and see the doctor. I think that was Saturday, a weekend. So we went to discover, to ultrasound. We realized she had internal bleeding. Maybe an hour later, we would have lost her. She went to the hospital right away, and she had a surgery immediately. I was shocked, and I realized that just an hour, the doctor said, praise God that you came just now and not later. And I thought, okay, that was a shock. And challenges were related to the surgery. Could it happen that she would be infertile in the future, or would we have a complete family?
For 2 months, I've been in bed, and it was a shock for me always being in bed, lying, but thankfulness to God that we went through this testing.
And on Friday, I sold the vehicle, and we were without car on Saturday. I borrowed, I think, car from anyone who would give me a car. We have large families, so there were people to help us.
So that was physical stress, and we understood in a second we could lose each other.
One moment, everything changed.
And to some point, our relationship have changed. We started to value each other more.
Have you thought about the situation? She's on operating table. That was chaos in your head, of course, but what did you think about? What could I consider? I could understand I'm helpless. I can influence nothing. It was like birth of Adam. He came in, and there is nothing I can help with birth. So it was with doctor. I was shocked, but I could not do anything. That was also the same when she was giving birth to Adam. 6 months ago. Okay, this is your first child after 7 years of marriage. Is it conscious? Did you want to get pregnant before, or you wanted to spend 7 years together before you would have first child? 2 reasons. Sickness of Alina, and for 2 years they did not recommend.
Yes, and then later I got a promotion at my job, and I had some career promotion, and we had time to get ready for pregnancy, and I was very afraid of giving birth, and especially after that surgery, everything just was very stressful for me, and I was fearful.
Your fears come true? Everything was true.
Yes, that was true. And after we celebrated 5-year anniversary, then I need to trust God, I need to repent, and then we had a year of trusting God.
One thing we confirm: conscious parenting and conscious family planning. You need to understand, you need to evaluate the situation and the outcome. You need to take care of this child, to provide for the child and the wife. If you have no means, you have to think about it. Of course, we were preparing, and planning means we are preparing. We are preparing our health. Alina goes to doctor, I go to doctor. We do the checkups, and after preparation, we give birth.
I mean, also this fear of having a child. I was afraid to trust God because I knew that He would take him or take me.
What is repentance about? You said repentance. Repentance in not trusting God, because we cannot control the birth and pregnancy. We want to control everything and we can't. That's where we need to have repentance. Okay, thank you. We'll come back to you, but now Vitaliy and Anna. Our trials period also began with sickness of Anna, appendicitis. But that turned out to be Nestor, not appendicitis. What appendicitis is he talking about? Did you see her face? But we really called for ambulance because it was something unusual, and really it was unusual. Nestor came. So I think that was a trial period in our family that began with birth of Nestor, our firstborn. It was a difficult period for us considering work. Did Anya continue to work? Yes, of course. I exploit women's work. I worked in first hours after birth. Seriously?
Yeah, it was non-stop work. I never ceased working. At least I was not made to work. Maybe I like that. I enjoy working. And that's the way it's going, and I take work. In reality, we did not have any crisis of 1 year, 3 years like in the books. We had a crisis of the first year our baby was born. When I had my personal crisis, I was growing without a family, and I didn't have mom, and I need to be conscious how to be a good mom. And plus we both we're working, and before that I was free person. I did what I wanted wherever I wanted, and now there is a little baby we're in charge, we're responsible for, and this is everyday life. It's all around this baby. And Nestor, he was not very easy baby, maybe because we ourselves are not very easy. We have a crazy rhythm of life. So the first year when he was born, it was like circulation, a rotation of everything. I would say was extremely a hard year.
You said that Vitaliy helped you to complete some working project at 4 in the morning.
It happened all the time. Vitaliy, because he is technically very knowledgeable, intelligent, and we did similar things.
At 4 in the morning, we destroyed some very responsible website, and we had to restore it very soon. so that company would not lose a lot of money on advertising. And we had Nestor that screamed until 4.
Yes, we had at times when I was very afraid for my husband. I fed Nestor and then I put him in bed, and then Vitalik woke up and he said, "Okay, he's going to wake up. Be quiet, be quiet." And I remember Vitalik, he took a pillow and he was like making baby asleep. And I said, "Vitalik, everything is okay. He's in bed." And he told me, you're going to hold him yourself if you don't. And I was thinking that he is going crazy because he was making the pillow.
Who went crazy? You or him?
Yes, I was afraid when he was holding a pillow, like pretending he has a baby.
In your discussion, you talked about ideas or not even solutions. This word, divorce, the word divorce, did it happen as an option? Did you think about divorce? No, I didn't think about divorce. But when you face problems, there are no options. As, for example, a healthy person would not have suicide as a solution. There is no such solution. Healthy person would say that's not an option. But at some point, divorce as an option, or disappointment that things would be simpler or easier separately as an option, not as an idea, is very important. As an option. Because I need to sleep at home tonight, you know. I'm joking. But really, Anya says she never considered it. But we had this long conflict. Usually conflicts take 5-10 minutes. That's it. After 15 minutes, we go have some coffee or other things. But then we had that conflict day long. It was very active, really. We never, Anya said, we don't have this silence, active silence. We are not ignoring each other, but not at all. But at that time, we were biting at each other heavily. That was pressure.
For me, it was like, okay, I'm going to divorce you when he said, but I said that I'm going to divorce you, but it seems like I'm a firework person.
These are girls, you know. They say one thing and they think the other thing. But okay, but at that time, how did you go through that? How did it become later easier?
Nestor was growing, and we've learned how to help each other. And I must tell you that Vitaliy is a perfect father. He's a better father than I'm a mother. And we speak openly about life strategic things. Even if I die, I'm not afraid because Nestor has a great father. And I'm sure I have confidence that my children will have a great time and in safe hands with my husband.
Tell me this story, that one you told me, when Anya was studying with Nestor in her arms and with broken hand. What's the story?
Vitalik is great because he always allows me to develop my skills. It doesn't matter if it's uncomfortable, if it's expensive for our family. And when Nestor turned 2 and I stopped breastfeeding, I enrolled to a designer school and I wanted to get a new qualification for myself. I was interested in that. I understood being a mom, I could make money. So I enrolled in a designer school. It was winter. I lost my wedding ring during those trips to the courses, and Nestor was very small at that.
I don't have mine a week after the marriage, so we're Poteriayev losing family.
Yes, it was winter. We had a little Nestor, and at 5 in the evening, I had to go take a bus to Kiev, and then at 12 at midnight, go back home, and during the day do some projects. And always Nestor was asleep, and I would have to put clothes on him, and then Vitalik was on the way on a Theatralna subway station. I would give little Nestor, I would pass it to Vitalik, and then at night I would come back. And when it was Nestor's birthday, I broke my arm doing a decoration for friends, and for a month and a half I was in a cast. It was in a cast, and so out of 6 months of my study, 1 month and a half my arm was in cast, and coming back at midnight, it was very hard a period in our life, but it was very great because it also has taught us a lot and united us together.
Thank you. Alina and Andriy, 6 months ago, you gave birth to Adam. Alina, you also shared that you had these tests, trials, crises related to birth of child. Alina and Andriy.
Yes, it wasn't like family crisis. It was basically my personal crisis. I agree with Anya. I think she would understand me. Then when you got used to active, fast way of life, before having a child, and now he's so tiny and it needs you 24/7, and it always wants something from you. You don't know what to do with him, and there are 4 walls around you, and there are so many good opportunities around you, and you cannot go over there attend them. And in my head, I was just telling myself, this is the end of my life. I said goodbye to my youth years. And I decided, okay, every day my existence will be like that. Tears of my child, of my tears.
Oh, I come home and both of them are crying. And at that moment I said, Alina, maybe we need to look at this situation from a different angle. Because nothing changed for me. I had active life. I was at work and in the church. I was coming back at home, and that stressed my wife, that irritated her, Alina, because I keep moving. But at the same time, when I saw this, I realized, of course, you need to look at our boy from a different angle. There is nothing wrong with him. He's a blessing. He's a great gift from God. He's healthy. He's calm. He did not cry. He's very calm. At every time of pregnancy and birth, I thought, Andriy, that's end of life. No more sleeping, no more intimacy, but those things did not come true. He is very calm from birth. He's sleeping through the night. Everything is great, but I was listing those things to Alina. We have no reason to say something is wrong. Great boy, healthy. Praise God.
Yes, and it's been for the whole month of staying in staying closed up in 4 walls. And then I told Andriy, he said, I don't understand you. I don't stay in home. I don't know how to help you. I never has given birth. You need God, and you need to change your attitude towards our boy. And then I felt so ashamed, and I was crying because I was so ashamed, and I cried before my mom, before the baby, and my mom was helping me as much as she could. So that was a breaking point. Day, and then I was, until now, I'm still, I rejoice being with my little baby. He's ideal, and I praise God for him.
That was your challenge, your trial, your attitude. But Andriy, as you look at Alina now in perspective, 6 months later, after this crisis, personal crisis you had, should you have said something else?
He was helping. He tried to take me somewhere to McDonald's, take me to McDrive. He did everything to help me.
But I'm interested, as you look back, in addition to what you did, you were giving advice to others, changing decorations for wife, taking her out somewhere. Could you do some other things? Well, it depends on period of birth. We gave birth just before quarantine, and if I planned something, if I had planned something, should have planned something, I would take her for holiday before. But we were planning exchange conference in ministry, and so quarantine came, and no exchange conference, but no recreation as well. I would have changed situation. My brothers from seminary said, at birth, your wife would have a lot of stress, change the view, take her out. It sounds banal, but actually that's carrying that support, that's warmth, and she would feel it. So I would change things. I would add more care. That's my response. Thank you. Thank you, friends, for your questions that you write in our broadcast, and I'd like to read some. Their greetings. Their greetings from Atlanta. Do you have someone in Atlanta? I have grandfather and grandmother. They are watching us. Greetings to Atlanta. Also, greetings, Volodymyr Chekarenda. That's my uncle. All my relatives are watching us. Great. Greetings from Rivne. Tanya Kuchereva. Talking about budget, maybe for a spending person like me, nothing would help. It's called деньги. That was your reply. So you are broadcasting and you're talking and you're writing. Great. Slavik Yefimuk wrote, Tereschenko, Poteriayev, you're great, you're true. We watch you and we celebrate with Luda. Thank you for your sincerity. Thank you, Slava. Okay, now we'll move to the last part of our broadcast, and that would be advice, life hacks that these beautiful families can share as their experience. Will come in 3 seconds. Friends, we are talking on the topic about life after wedding, and can it be called life? We're talking to Vitaliy and Anna Poteriayev and Andriy Alina Tereschenko. Thank you for your questions. We talk about different challenges we have: adjustment, character, habits, relationship with parents after wedding, crisis, birth of child, trials and conflicts. We talked about those things. Now let's talk about your life hacks, methods of making life more interesting. Because in any family, a time comes when everything is routine, everything is great. You want to change something, you want to celebrate something, or to notice these moments of happiness. What do? To overcome this routine or rejoice about it. You know, routine is the thing that is joyful in itself. It might sound absurd, but joy is not the peak, the summit. You're not trying to reach the joy because only when you can achieve it, you would celebrate. Joy is like radiation. It's always there. You might notice or not. But it seems to me, I'm phlegmatic by my personal makeup, but to people who think that routine and normal daily life is like a swamp, but actually, it's a beautiful thing. I love and thank God for it. Imagine if your life would be only a combination of joy and sadness. There are people like that, but I think it's certain disorder. God's blessing is coming every day, and we can find joy. We're sitting here. Sofas are soft. Without sofas, life would be more difficult. So, squatting is not as good as sitting on the sofa. You come back home. broken after work, but you have children. Is that joy? It is joy. Even if your house is without roof, that's your home. You go there and celebrate. You don't need to invent much to see the blessing. Small, but still part of family life. As you talk to your wife, one of life hacks, no, in parallel to this topic, it's not making your wife into object. She's not an object. She is a person just like you. And when you can see a separate universe in your wife, and when God gave you opportunity to become part of this universe, every time you think about it would be enough to bring joy to your life. So it's more consideration, more accepting the situation. Anya?
In reality, I must confess that we have very little Instagram-like lives here. Vitalik does not bring 1,000 roses, or he doesn't put balloons.
Let's explain Instagramity to our viewers. These are beautiful things you take picture of and publish online.
Yes, right now people upload everything on Instagram, from waking up till the food they eat, everything. And to do something very bright things that in reality they do not reflect, they do not show the happiness of life, and they can be very, they cannot be truthful. And there is a temptation to think that Instagram shows your real life. In truth, it's not the way it is. And we have a cozy breakfast with all the flowers that I have. We walk a lot. We have a little newborn baby. We have our walks together. Even when I say, Vitalik, I'm already tired. Let's go somewhere. Vitalik says, I have work to do, and I said, okay, let's go to go somewhere and do your work. And then so we have this kind of nights out. 2 life hacks. What Vitalik has already said. We try to enjoy every moment of our life, and there are plenty of it in our daily routines. And when our older son comes up to us and says, we want a family hugs, and that's what we do. These are moments of happiness. Or when I sleep in after a sleepless night and Vitaliy makes coffee for me. And also I would like to tell all ladies and girls, do not try to make husband to guess what you want. Men have tendency to forget the dates. They do not think that you want a flower.
When is the birthday for Nestor? That's a setup. You have not expressed men's solidarity here.
I'm probably very pragmatic wife. I try a fortnight before, 2 weeks before. I said 15th of October, we have our anniversary. And then he puts this date on his calendar and it's rotating in his head. And that's my approach in life. You haven't given me flowers for a long time. And then he's carrying this thought, and then and he gives me flowers. Sometimes I look into his eyes and tell him, get in the car and we're going somewhere. So I do not make myself a kind of girl, try what I want right now, think, I don't know, you try to guess. I'm direct. I want this. I'm missing that. I would like this. That's the way I want. Of course, there are things Vitaliy can guess, but of course, it's okay to tell.
Thank you. Great advice. Practical advice. Tell us now, Andriy, Alina, how to make life better. Life hacks. Okay, write down. Number 1.
I agree totally with Vitaliy and Anya. because I'm a person who always become bored in the relationships. I mean, I do not like routine in relationships. I need something, I need to keep doing something new. And in our family, I initiate different little things that our family life would be more various, would be variety of different things. It could be free little moments. I agree with Anya. Our life doesn't have to be full with Instagram wow things. It could be something very simple. Prepare some interesting questions. Recollect, remind each other of our traveling. But I like.
In fact, we have several instruments that we use. First, special dates. 28th of November. 12th of May and 13th of June, 15th June.
15th.
Well, solidarity. Okay, 15th. We plan those dates, and we have something very special in those days. In November, for example, this is Mexican party night. We have this dinner. In November, we talk about the year. Why Mexican?
This is an interesting story. In actually February, 28th of February. So every month we have a date. Every month. It's good than 29 because we do not miss 20 February. We met 28th of February.
So at least once a month you have the date, guaranteed, scheduled.
Yes, I have. I remind myself in my telephone, and Andriy has. So it reminds us 28th of every month. We try to make that night special. I remember when during the family club there was a practice. We would write. You mean family club? Yes, family. It usually in. January or February, we write each other the task as dates. And I remember it was 4 years ago, and we prepared. I wanted to have a Mexican party.
How does it look? You made this task for each other for a year. We have this envelope at the fridge, and we open it every month, and we remind each other. I was trying to realize when was time, 28th of November, our first acquaintance.
And it happened that 4 years, every year, we have, on the 28th of February, we have Mexican party.
In addition, that's why I think I try to add something else, because men are very pragmatic and everything is okay for them normally. I think you'd be in solidarity with me here. But my wife likes to bring something else to the calendar, to add something and to plan and to execute. And that's my recommendation to every man. If you want your wife to be happy, plan and surprise something with a morning coffee. You have it every day, but you make it for her today. She would be surprised that you have not done it before for her, ever. Or do something else. Do something without schedule, without expectation. Okay? Tell us about this once a year. You have discussion when you analyze your relationship, your atmosphere in the family. How is it happening?
Yes, we are married for 7 years, and every year we analyze our relationships, and we have a ready-made checklist with 10 questions, and we ask each other what has changed, what has improved, in what area, what do you like, what do you don't like, what do you like in the family. And we openly talk on any topic.
I believe that in every marriage, if you're not open, if you don't talk about everything and anything, that's a problem. We need to talk about anything, everything. Do you have any corrections after this kind of discussion, after you openly spoke about things?
Yes, there were. The first I remember from the beginning of our family married life, when we used to date, Andriy would give me flowers, and after we got married, the frequency of giving flowers fell down.
That's finance. It's waste of money. What would you say?
And I tried, as Anya, I tried to tell him I would like to have some flowers.
Why would you remind things that I already know?
It was the first time when he said we were going over this checklist, and he said it made him additional stress, so I don't do that anymore. And then I remember when Andriy changed his job, he started working in Irpin, and I went to work, and we started our business. And the main source of income was my salary. And every morning I would wake up and I would whine, okay, again, I have to go to Kiev. I will be in traffic jams for an hour. What do I wear? So why do I have to wake up that early? And so on and so forth. And so it became kind of habit.
You didn't feel that it was something wrong. You just kept talking. But that did really irritate me. I was in Irpin. I was going to offices 5 minutes, and I got up later. And I felt like reproach because of me. I don't earn as much for her to stop going to Kiev. That's how I felt. But after we talked to each other, I asked her, "Could you be whining less? I can't change nothing." Maybe you want to quit your job, and will live poorly, but without whining.
Yes, and during this particular time of analyzing, we saw that it was a great problem in our family.
Thank you for sharing your life hacks. I can add more. One of those things that help relationship, when we go on holiday, we get buy a book and we study together during holiday. My favorite sins, that's in our church library. You can buy inexpensive book, but it's very good. It opens to us who we are and helps us notice things that we are ignoring, and we should not ignore them. We read the book and we discuss it. That's important. But also get a topical book and study together.
And also we have street posters. Now it's very hard to find new ideas. There are different ideas where you can take your ideas. So street posters, they give us new ideas.
Great. There is a question from chat. How do you support spiritual growth of each other? Your family spiritual practices. It's a question to us, right? We talk. We discuss things. Things that touch us from the scripture or from our meditations. What Alina said, it's important to find time when you would come and ask things, or just sit together. Asking what concerns you, what worries you here in spiritual life. How can I be of help to you? Do you need help? Normally, it's just discussion. Nothing extraordinary, no spiritual practices. Do you read Bible together or separately? Unfortunately, not together.
It's normal. This is our personal time with God. We discuss. We have a lot of discussions on different topics, starting from some Christian issues. We liked intellectual discussions.
Sometimes even debates. But when we talked before, I came up with an idea. We did not have this practice of reading the scripture together. Or did we? No, I don't think so. So, in principle, maybe that's a great thing. Let's practice. How about you? Do you read the Bible together? we had several attempts. Let me explain what I mean. After one family club meeting, there was this motivation for couples to enrich and to grow, enrich each other and grow spiritually together. So we decided, okay, let's wake up together, read the scripture, pray, and go to work. Over months or two, we tried to do that, but then, due to the fact that we changed our schedule and changed work, I don't get up at 6:30 anymore, and we read separately. It was nice because we were reading the same thing and sharing our impressions. But like Tanya Solub said at one of such meetings, she said, we read like we eat differently. Some eat fast, some eat slow, and we have different digestions, so everyone needs to dedicate their own time. Alina supports me more. That's the spiritual growth that you're talking about, how a wife helps the husband. She's the first advisor. Her critique is the best because she says the truth, how I am. When I express some confusing thoughts or use wrong words, you're preaching. Alina is preparing sermon for you? No. She's not preparing my sermons, but I always give her my notes before, and she sometimes corrects me. This is not the best illustration, use another one, and I start thinking about it. So my preacher's breakfast continues to home.
I wanted to add, when I entered seminary to study, and I also wanted Andriy to enter.
And now she is correcting your sermons, right? Sometimes I'm angry that she goes to seminary because she spends a lot of time there. When she has intense studies, I lose her, but I'm happy she studies.
And it's also, I like it because we have different teachers, despite the fact that we have different teachers, but we share our thoughts. We are in one stream of spiritual growth.
Thank you very much. We've been talking for 1 hour and 20 minutes. Only that? Yes. We have started a moment ago, and it takes already a lot of time. Some of your children are just on the other side of that door. Some are waiting at home. I promised to my son that I would give him greetings. So where is he? Right there. Okay, Nestor, I love you. Congratulations, and my greetings to you. How about Orest? In a couple of years, he will watch. Okay, Orest will talk to you in the next video. We have not done this before. Simple thing, but it had to be done. I think it's great. When child asks you to do something, you do it. Nestor, hello. Greetings to you. Okay, we are about to conclude. 5 minutes as soon as we are done with the next task. If you wanted to give a recommendation to young families, young couples, boys who just got married, about the trials you have gone through, what would you say? A boy got married, say, a month ago. Or girls, same thing. Well, what should I say? I hope that you were conscious when you got married. The moral pressure always goes first to the head of the family. Hold strong. That's normal. Everyone has gone through that. It's okay. As long as you work on your character in the process. As a man, your wisdom is growing. There is no character without wisdom, and there is no wisdom without character. And love. Love your wife, despite everything. Because in the end, we'll never understand until the end of our life how to do it right or whether we have done it right. Just love with all your heart. You can do that. Thank you. Andriy, will you say something to the boys? I'm not going to talk to the girls. Anya will. At every wedding or when I talk to young couples, my first recommendation is invest into the family, always. Work on your family. Study. Go to events related to marriage topics, marriage clubs. This is an advertising, but I'm not ashamed because there are people who have gone to those meetings. They benefited from them. Invest in your family, I always say. If you're married and you hope that everything will be super for you in everything, you're mistaken. You will reach super level only after you work hard, after you invest, after you develop, after you read the right books. Go to right meetings and plan the time together. Plan the time together. Ladies, will you say something to the girls?
Yes, sure. I have two recommendations. The first one, I think we missed that topic. I want to wish to each girl who is either just got married or she's preparing for marriage life, get ready for intimacy, for intimate life. The book that we've read that helped us in our Kevin Lemon, or the book Sex Starts from the Kitchen, Music of the Sheets. Just read these two books.
I usually give a gift of that book for the newlyweds. That's important.
And the second recommendation is that for the last 2 years, I realized that my calling, my success is determined by the success of my husband, and my calling is to help my husband. I do not say that we do not fulfill ourselves, but at first place, we wives are called to help our man, our husband, to be successful. And of course, we need to make ourselves better, work on ourselves, because if we don't work on ourselves, we could not help our husbands.
I always say that I would not be who I am without my wife. I thank God for her. Now, Anya, your speech to the girls.
Before, a long time ago, before we had children, and sometime later, I was a coordinator of many weddings, and I was observing girls, and I saw how a girl how she changes during the time of preparation, all these invitation cards, all these laces, and it just make her kind of take her roof off the head, and she becomes very emotional, and of course it influences the relationship between in couple even before marriage. You know, it looks like you put a picture on a wall which is made out of air, so it looks like that. So somebody said, so if a person was born in a family and lived in a family, he needs a psychologist, because in each family there are positive things, negative things, there are different patterns of behavioral patterns, and all of us, we bring in to our new family the patterns of life that we had in our families. So the preparation for the married life, we need to analyze what was good in the family where we've grown up, what was good, what was bad, and what would you take with you. So this is the time you need to have a general cleaning and reconsideration the values, so that you could make a good foundation and walls, and then you can make decoration in your family. So this is my recommendation. Then all the weddings would be more adequate, and they will be good wives afterwards.
Thank you very much, Anya, Vitaliy, Alina, and Andriy, for your participation. Thank you. Despite you have babies at home, you left them with your mother or friends, you came and you shared your experience. To you, my dear viewers, thank you for watching us. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for writing your questions and your comments. I'd like to wish every young married couple, or those who are preparing for wedding, for marriage, I really want to tell you that life can be beautiful. There is life after wedding for a Christian family, but it depends a lot on our hard work. And as we had pre-interview with these beautiful couples, I had a special meeting with one couple and then later with the other couple. They both said in unison that marriage is hard daily work, industrious work. I wish you, younger couples, older couples, keep building this beautiful atmosphere of your marriage. May God bless you in this. Goodbye, and we'll see you in a week. At 2 o'clock, we'll have another family topic. Bye-bye.